Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope everybody is well. I'm going to start off by quickly saying our neighbours are drilling, so if you hear drilling I'm sorry. It's very intermittent, so I'm not going to keep stopping and starting, but I have books. I got paid and I went up to the charity shops, as you do, and I bought some more books. I've almost finished the last lot, so I thought, why not? So let's dive right in. I will start with, okay, these two I didn't get from a charity shop. I got them from Poundland. They do books there that are like repurposed. So I bought The Birthing House by Christopher Ranson. I do apologise for the glare. It's a very, very gloomy day. So from what I've gathered, couple move to a new house. It's picture perfect. It's a fairy tale, and the husband or the boyfriend starts looking through some old photos and comes across a photo, according to the back, that shows a lot of Victorian woman looking scary, and he's pretty sure one of them looks just like his wife. And then yeah, that was enough for me, to be honest. And apparently somebody says that it's the scariest novel since Stephen King's The Shining. But I don't know who said that. It doesn't actually say who said that there. But apparently, and it says they were in the house a week before it came for him. And I was like, ooh, kind of reminds me of the Amityville Horror. So, a pound. It was Poundland. So that one's a bit more battered, but this one looks to be in pretty good condition. This is More Than This by Patrick Ness. And I read the back. So a boy drowns, desperate and alone in his final moments he dies. Then he wakes naked and bruised and thirsty but alive. How can this be, and what is this strange deserted place? And I was like, okay, sounds kind of interesting. Then I noticed on the front it's by John Green, says just read it, and I was like, okay, John, I'll just read it. So for £1 I picked it up. Let's have a look. Font's not too bad. Yeah. And there's a lot of praise in it. Actually, a lot of these books has a lot of praise. Patrick apparently is a twice Carnegie Medal winner. I can't remember. But there we go. So why not? Do you know, I was a lot more enthused in the shop, so I do apologise for the enthusiasm levels gone. But there we go. So I'm excited to that. The next lot I brought in one shot. So I got Arthur C. Clarke and Gentry Lee, Cradle. I love Arthur C. Clarke. I have not loads of his books, but I have a few of his books. I have Rendezvous with Rama, and I have a collection of his short stories, which has Who Goes There, which sequentially leads into my favourite film of all time, John Carpenter's The Thing. So Cradle, in a mind-blowing mix, in a mind-blowing mix of scientific speculation and thriller, two seemingly unconnected events trigger off the discovery of nothing less than the secret of humanity's existence. So, yes, I love me some science fiction, and it was 49p. I was very pleased. They did have another book in there, but I couldn't tell if it was like book one of a sequel or a 3 series. And I got home and I was like, I should have got it. But if it's still on my mind, I'll add it to the list. So there we go. Arthur C. Clarke, Cradle, and I absolutely loved Rendezvous with Rama. To be honest, I had that bit at the beginning where I was like waiting for something to happen. I was like, anything? But as the story goes on, I was just like, oh, I get it. It's beautiful. So Cradle. The next 2 books were on my list. So yay! Let's see what I have done, which is about Lizzie Borden. So the back actually just tells me what other people think of the book, so I don't actually know, like, have anything to read to the back. I'm pretty sure it's I know it's based on the Lizzie Borden case, but I don't know whether she did it or what, but it was on my list. So, and again, 49p. And then the next one that was on my list was I See You. I saw someone mention it, and it sounded really good. A woman sees her photo in the classified section of a newspaper. She takes it to her family. They say it's not her, but then sequentially more photos of different women keep showing up. So yes, and I thought, why not? So this is always a short video, isn't it, really? The next two books I got from the YMCA, and they were £1 each. So we've got Shades of Death. This is a proper battered copy, but I don't mind. So, deep in the Derbyshire cave, the skeleton of an 11-year-old girl has laid undisturbed for 18 years. Its discovery brings to light the half-forgotten and horrific rituals performed by a group of children in their chilling Egyptian game. And then obviously it goes on to explain a bit more, but that's all I needed. I was like, oh, that sounds good. So, crime. I love a bit of crime, and it sounds a bit... it does sound right up my street, so I'm very excited. We follow DS Tom Ward. I don't know if there's a DS Tom Ward series. I couldn't find anything on the book to suggest that it was book 1, book 2, or anything like that. So, but it does say that the author is the same author of Night and Silence. So I don't know if it's in the same vein, but there you go. So I was very pleased. The next book I got was Dean Koontz, Ashley Bell, The Girl Who Said No to Death. And it was in really good condition, I thought. So apparently she's told she has 1 year to live, and then she says we'll see, and her sudden recovery is a medical miracle. And I do like Dean Koontz, and I don't like Dean Koontz, so we'll see. I've got a couple of his back here somewhere. Yeah. Lightning I read quite recently, actually, and I really liked it, but the one I got there was called Chase, and I couldn't read that. I didn't like it at all. So oh, and the Odd Thomases. I love Odd Thomas, so I thought it did sound good, so I thought I'd give it a go. And now we're on to the final 4, which they cost me £1.98 for all of them. I'm very pleased. Very pleased indeed. So we start with The Crooked House. 1 fateful night, 1 unthinkable family tragedy, 1 survivor. This is Alison's story. Alison is as close to anonymous as she can get, with no ties and a backroom job. Hers is a life lived under the radar. But once Alison was someone else. Once she was Esme, a teenager whose bedroom sat at the top of a remote house on a bleak estuary. A girl whose family, if not happy exactly, was no unhappier than anyone else's, or so she thought. So, kind of got it's a thriller. So, you know, we've got someone running away from the past. The past is definitely going to come back and bite them on the bum. They're going to have to confront it. So, I was like, yes. I just finished reading a book and I loved it. So, this is definitely in the same vein. So, I got that, and that's by Christabel Kent. Sorry, I've not actually been saying who they're by, but I'm hoping you can see the names. So, there's that one. The next book I got is by Zadie Smith. It's called Swing Time, and set in London, New York, and West Africa, Swing Time is about 2 brown girls from Willesden who dream of being dancers. Only one, Tracy, has the talent, but the other has ideas which take her further than she could ever imagined. It is a story of finding happiness in the meanest of places and feeling sad when all around you are happy. So, and it mentions friendship. And I was like, that sounds really good. Heartbreaking. I imagine it's going to be very heartbreaking, but also triumphant. So, and I think I've mentioned this before, I don't necessarily go in for like reviews. I'm like, I mean, BookTube I'll listen to, but you know when you read them. But this book has just got nothing but positive and long reviews before you even get into the book about the author herself and the book. So I was like, go on then. And this is, I think, her 5th novel, it said. So I'm like, definitely. And it's a pretty book. It feels lush. So that one as well. The next book was on my radar, but not on my list, which was The Shock of the Fall. I'll tell you what happened because it will be a good way to introduce my brother. His name's Simon. I think you're going to like him. I really do. But in a couple of pages, he'll be dead. And he was never the same after that. And Jo Brand has said dark, touching, sweet, funny, and beautifully brilliant. Okay, I love Jo Brand, so that's awesome. Yeah, so I've seen this mentioned, and it was like, okay, I'll keep it in my mind. And my husband's called Simon, so I was like, ooh. So, and it was Cost a Book a Year, 2013. And then the last book completely came out of left field. Excuse me. And that is The Valley of Secrets by Charmaine Hussey. Hussey? No, not Hussey, but this is my only hardback book. And Stephen stood and stared in amazement. He certainly hadn't expected such grandeur. The tall, heavy iron gates rose up high in front of him, a seemingly impassable barrier. Abandoned as a baby, Stephen has never given up hope of finding his family. This epic adventure of the imagination, a lifetime work from a brilliant, talented narrative voice, follows his changing fortunes as he receives an unexpected letter from a strange source and sets off on an unforgettable journey. Now, this definitely doesn't sound like something I would normally read at all. However, since joining the BookTube community and watching videos and Instagram posts, there are so many books I would never have considered before, and I am being a lot more open. You know, a lot of these books I would have perhaps already picked up. Shades of Death, Ashley Bell, they were definitely books that had, and Arthur C. Clarke, but others are really opening my eyes, and this was one of them. He's a young man, I'm assuming, so, but I can't find anywhere to suggest, well, how old he is. It'll probably say in the book, but this hardback edition was published by, it's a children's book, so Hodder Children's Books. So we'll see. I've read children's books before. I used to write reviews for children's books in a primary school magazine a couple of years ago. So I'm not adverse to reading child books for children. But however, what really sold it for me was the fact that one of the chapters is called Fish and Chips, and I was like, yes mate, because it's based in Cornwall, and I really like the illustrations that you get at the beginning of the chapters. And it did remind me, with the whimsicalness of what I was reading, Inkheart, and I love Inkheart. I got that from a charity shop as well. I have Inkheart, and there they go, and Inkspell. They didn't have the third one. They had those two, but not the third one. So I haven't read Inkspell yet because I want to get the third one before I read that. So there we go. And there we go. That is the last of it. So that was my rather epic haul. And that's only like payday weekend. I'm going back home in a couple of weeks, which has more charity shops. And then I'm going to the Book Barn International, which is 23 minutes from my door. I think I've said that before. So there you go. Sorry if the enthusiasm doesn't seem there. I think I'm just a little overwhelmed by everything that I brought. So thank you guys, and yeah, I'm sure I'll be back.